What's good? It's Woog. It is time for the 2022 Boxing Awards. And before we get into the awards, this video is going to go through my top 10 pound for pound fighters in the sport. And I know there's never going to be unanimity in terms of agreeing on what those top 10 or even what the top 3 should look like. I'm sure if I were to ask, 10 of y'all, I'm sure you guys would at least come with 5 different arrangements of what the top 1 through 3 should look like. I think that all of these fighters are deserving of their spots, and all of these fighters have some unfinished business to take care of. So without further ado, my top 10 is as follows. I still have Canelo Alvarez number 1. That might be the most unpopular opinion. I see most people with either Terrence Crawford, some have Alexander Usyk. I even see Naoya Inoue in the top 1 spot. And then you might find, Errol Spence in some people's number 1. But generally, lately, I've been seeing a lot of Terrence Crawford, Usyk, and Inoue. Now, I have Canelo number 1 because his conquering of 168 was so demonstrative, although he has not yet fought David Benavidez. Let's get that out there. But 175, just the idea that we thought, at least if you look at the betting odds, he was a big favorite over Dimitri Bivol. A lot of people forget about that. Well, it turned out that that was not in the cards for Canelo Alvarez. We'll see if they have a rematch, how that goes. But 175, if you recall where Canelo is height-wise and where he started his career or where he started first racking up, titles and started fighting at an elite level, 154, then 160. Then he did what he did at 168 and then endeavored to take on 175. Many thought he was going to beat Bivol and then perhaps pivot to better Biv and beat him. Well, no. He pretty much suffered the setback in that decision loss against Dimitri Bivol, but I still have him at number 1. We'll see how he schedules his next fight, whether it's against John Ryder or whomever, and then if he has the rematch with Bivol, a lot can change. So his spot at number 1 is not secure, but that's where I have him right now. Number 2, I have Errol Spence Jr., slightly above Terrence Crawford. I've generally been having them kind of do this. It's basically who fought the latest. Granted, Errol Spence, hasn't fought since he beat Ugas. I think that was in May, but he stopped Yordenis Ugas. Let's not discount how impressive of a performance that was. And yes, I still have him above number 3, Terrence Crawford, even though Terrence Crawford is coming off of that pretty spectacular, one of the knockouts of the year. But that knockout against David Evanesian, I've got Terrence Crawford at number 3. The reason I have Spence at number 2 and Crawford at 3, again, these are interchangeable, but they're both still undefeated. Errol Spence has beaten everybody, has pretty much cleaned out the division except for like an aging and seemingly disinterested Keith Thurman and obviously Terrence Crawford. As I said, all these guys have some unfinished business. And then Terrence Crawford, obviously champ at 135, undisputed champ at 140, has knocked out all of his opponents, still knocked out all of his opponents at 147. And both of these guys are just phenomenal. I just really hope that in 2023 they could get it together. Terrence Crawford at number 3. I have Alexander Usyk at number 4. His unfinished business is obviously the other king of the division, Tyson Fury. Usyk is coming off of the back-to-back decision wins over Anthony Joshua. And the reason why he's higher than Tyson Fury is because Usyk was once the undisputed champion at cruiserweight. So that's weighing in. It's almost like, Tyson Fury's getting a little bit penalized for being just such a big and massive dude and like a perpetual heavyweight. But yeah, I've got Usyk at number 4. I have Naoya Inoue at number 5. Inoue's coming off of his stoppage of Paul Butler, becoming undisputed at 118. Earlier this year, Inoue stopped Nonito Donaire. That was very impressive in their rematch. Inoue, number 5. The aforementioned Tyson Fury at number 6. This year, he stopped Dillian White and he stopped Derek Chisora in their third fight. Pretty much a fight that didn't need to happen, but I just like the idea of Tyson Fury fighting twice a year. So I've got Fury at number 6, still undefeated. By the way, all these guys that I've mentioned, except for Canelo at the number 1 spot, Canelo's now lost professionally, officially twice, but 2 through 6 on my list all undefeated fighters, as is my number 7, Dimitri Bivol. He could have conceivably hopped up higher. You know, last year I at the same time, I had him just outside of the top 10. But yeah, when you then beat Canelo Alvarez and then you dominate the previously undefeated Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, yes, you jump up a couple of spots. So now we've got Dimitri Bivol at number 7. I have Jermell Charlo at number 8. I was kind of unsteady about putting Bivol above Charlo, but you just look at the quality of those last 2 wins. And Jermell Charlo did lose to Tony Harrison, was struggling with Tony Harrison in the rematch before stopping Harrison. Then he fought the draw with Brian Castano. But then in the rematch against Castano, which I attended in Carson, California, I attended 2 fights this year. I attended Charlo versus Castano 2 and then Zepeda versus Prograis. Both really good fights. Jermell Charlo stopped Brian Castano, and that to me was one of the performances of the year. But I have the undisputed champion at 154, Jermell Charlo, at number 8. His unfinished business as it stands, he's got an upcoming fight against Tim Tszyu, and then inevitably he's gonna lock horns with Sebastian Fundora, the towering inferno, won't he? He's got to. Like, that's kind of the elephant in the room right now at 154, especially after Fundora stopped Erickson Lubin. So I've got Jermell Charlo number 8. I've got Artur Beterbiev at number 9. I mean, come on. Like, he's about to fight Anthony Yard. But just the way that he destroyed Joe Smith Jr. And he had fought, Beterbiev fought Marcus Brown in December of 2021. And then this year fought Joe Smith Jr. And there were a lot of people going into that fight thinking this could be very competitive. We've got the kind of the young bull in the china shop, strong as an ox fighter and puncher, Joe Smith. He might just overwhelm the late 30s Artur Beterbiev. No, Beterbiev showed class. He actually moved around the ring a bit, and he caught Joe Smith so cleanly coming in, hurt him time and time again, dropped him multiple times, stopped him within the first couple of rounds. It was one of those that make you just say, whoa, oh, damn, my bad. Yeah, that was the type of performance that Artur Beterbiev had against Joe Smith Jr. He's another undefeated fighter, and I have him at number 9. You know, yes, I would like to see the Dimitri Bivol versus Canelo rematch, but I would much rather see the 2 kings of the light heavyweight division, Bivol versus Beterbiev. I'd much rather see that. I mean, we never got Adonis Stevenson versus Sergey Kovalev when they were the 2 kings of the division. I really hope that we get Bivol versus Beterbiev, and sooner rather than later, because Beterbiev is now in his like late 30s. And then at number 10, I have Josh Taylor, still officially undefeated. I know that was a very disputed decision win over Jack Catterall. It's been hell trying to make that rematch. They've rescheduled it multiple times. Josh Taylor went from being the undisputed champion at 140 to relinquishing 3 of his 4 belts in pursuit of this rematch with Catterall, again, in a fight that he officially won. So instead of moving on and trying to fight somebody else, he has just been dead set on having this rematch to shut all doubters up. I mean, I tend to think if he's still the same Josh Taylor that he can fight a better rematch. I mean, wasn't he coming off a bad knee injury too before that Catterall fight? I'm picking Josh Taylor to win that rematch against Catterall. Again, that's assuming he's the same Josh Taylor, but yeah, still undefeated. Can't forget that he beat Prograis. He beat Jose Ramirez. He was, I think, the first to beat Ivan Baranchyk. He's beaten Victor Postal, and he beat Jack Catterall. Didn't look great doing it. It turned into a pretty sloppy fight, and he got dropped early, but he's still the undefeated champion. Yes, he's coughed up 3 of his 4 belts, but he didn't do so by losing a fight. So yeah, I've got Josh Taylor at number 10. If you care to know. So that's my top 10. Canelo, Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford, Alexander Usyk, Naoya Inoue, Tyson Fury, Dimitri Bivol at 7, Jermell Charlo at 8, Artur Beterbiev at 9, Josh Taylor at 10. And if you want to know my 11 through 16, I've got Devin Haney at 11, Vasily Lomachenko 12, Shakur Stevenson 13, Gervonta Davis 14, Stephen Fulton 15, and Juan Estrada 16. And yes, a lot of those guys, just like a lot of the people in the top 10, have a lot of unfinished business to take care of. So yeah, that is wrapping up the pound for pound list for 2022. Here is to a great 2023 where we get answers to a lot of our questions in a lot of these divisions. But yeah, let me know what your top 10 pound for pound in the sport is. I didn't do a women's top 10 pound for pound this year. I probably will next year. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.